Welcome to Tech Leaders Today with your host, Cassie Crossley. All comments, views, and opinions expressed on this show are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers. Now here's Cassie Crossley.
Hi, Mikhail. Welcome to the Tech Leaders Today podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you take a moment to introduce yourself? Where do you live? What do you do? And what your focus is?
So I live outside of Boston in a beautiful town of Lincoln, Massachusetts, 8,000 people, 3 traffic lights, 5 police officers, but close enough to Boston, and that's a unique town. I love being there. My position is the CEO. I'm a founder and CEO of a management consulting firm. The name of the firm is Abraic, Inc. The company is focusing less on specific technology, but more on how to make technology work. So we specialize more on the how rather than what.
The company that you have, do you have a large team? What type of people do you have in your organization?
The team is not very large. We're a boutique firm, although we are national. I should say we're international. We've worked in a couple of other countries, one in the Middle East and one in Europe last year, or in the past 18 months, I should say. The team is unique. I have to say that we've had a tough time and continue to have tough time finding middle management talent. A lot of middle management talent in the tech world today in IT is not excellent material for management consulting. What we find works is a combination. We hire rather senior former CIOs, former VPs of IT, as senior leaders or senior project managers or client relationship managers. And then they're supplemented by young, energetic folks that we hire right out of college. And so there is a significant age difference between the two waves of employees that we have. You know, we've got these youngsters who are ready for new ideas and who are aggressive and you know, bulldog some of these engagements and make things happen. And then they are steered by senior folks, hate to admit it, like myself, who kind of give them the right direction. And that seems to work out beautifully. I mean, today, you know, you go look for middle management, you're going to find someone and they'll say, well, you know, I like working with this tool, but I hate this other tool. And I don't really like this other tool. And you're thinking to yourself, you know, emotions are great, just not in the business surrounding where you're just trying to do the best you can with technologies that you've got. You know, you need to remove the emotions. And what we're finding out there are folks who have a specific focus, you know, in BI or ERP or you know, what have you. And they don't make great management consultants. I'm giving you a little bit of an insight into how our recruiting process works.
For the people that you're hiring out of college, what degrees do they have that are working with your technology executives?
We do hire just a bachelor, and we have hired MBA grads as well.
Are they business majors or technical?
Oh, yeah. So most of it is business and IT. Yes, most of it is.
Okay.
One guy was an English major, so he fixes all the mistakes on the PowerPoint.
That's an unusual calling. With the different, let's say, generations that you have in working with the client, do you have any kind of training practices or any, especially if they're coming out of college, any kind of onboarding? How do you attract them and retain them so they come on to this type of company?
Well, attracting is easy because when folks think of management consulting and, you know, when you're going to college, you're majoring in management or you're business. But most of the kids today, they want to change the world. They look at things globally. So when we tell them that we don't specialize in C# or Java, you know, we don't specialize in solving very specific problems, but we rather specialize in helping our clients utilize the technology they already have and getting better outcomes from it, they're jazzed about it. You know, they feel that is where they belong. So actually finding candidates has not been a big challenge for us. We do get a lot of applicants, and applicants are impressed typically after we talk to them and express a desire to work with us. from a standpoint of attracting talent, it's the right type of a problem that we solve that's just perfect for some of the things that these kids are dreaming of. From a standpoint of working an onboarding process and continuing education and all that, we do send the folks to occasional certificate courses. Like next week, there is a balanced scorecard course being offered in Boston. 2 of our junior consultants are going there, and they're going to take this 4-day course and get a certification. So that's part of that. So some external training. Some internal training does take place where we have knowledge or expertise in specific technologies, be it BI or ERP or CRM or what have you. We tend to hold internal training courses just so that these kids have exposure into what some of these applications or some of these technologies actually do, right? So that they're more effective when they go to clients.
And the technologies change all the time, so you have to really adapt. That's great that you're bringing in folks that are adaptable and are interested in learning those new areas. So that's great.
Right, and yeah, absolutely. And we've been in business, we restarted the company in 2013, so it's been less than 3 years. So far, we've retained everybody. 0 turnover, 0 unwanted attrition.
Okay. Well, that's great. It's good to hear that when people are really engaged with their company and really involved, it makes such a difference to the actual clients themselves. So I applaud you for that statistic. That's fantastic. Are you looking to reach technology leaders? Hosting a podcast does have some costs involved. I'm searching for sponsors on this weekly podcast to simply pay for the hosting, editing, and marketing associated with this great podcast. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, please contact me through Twitter or my website, and soon you'll be reaching technology leaders around the world. I wanted to ask you about the projects or initiatives that you're being requested from your clients. What are they coming to you for? What kinds of projects? What's happening in your community?
With respect to what we do, the mission of our company is to help organizations achieve better outcomes from their IT investments. At one point, we started conducting some type of a market research to try to figure out what's the biggest issue in IT today. And then we basically pulled the plug on the research because it was staring right in our face. The biggest problem in IT today is the internal customer satisfaction. It's not getting better. Internal satisfaction of various divisions or departments or regions with IT services has not gotten better recently, and in my view, continues degrading. Organizations are not happy with what they get out of IT for the money. Our mission is to follow the money, take a look at where the costs are allocated, and try to get better outcomes from the costs, from the investments. There are 3 kinds of investments that we help organizations get better outcomes for. One is assets, and I'm not talking about the metal, like the blades you have in the computer room. I mean, that you can't squeeze much more value out of that, but it's all the digital assets. So it's the data, getting more from your data, getting more from your applications. We've done many projects for organizations who say, we've got this, for example, CRM system, right? But we paid so much money for it. It cost so much in an implementation. Now it's costing us so much money in maintenance fees and licensing fees and this and that. And what do we get for it? We're not really an effectively selling organization. What can we do? And so as a management consulting firm, we go in and we assess what is it that is expected from the CRM system, and where's the gap between what it does and what is expected from it, and what could be had maybe in the next 3 months, or maybe in the next 6 months, or maybe in the next 2 years, right? And then we recommend programs, continuous improvement for these assets, and then we help customers manage those programs with regards to those assets. The idea is not to be adding a lot to the IT budget. It's not to add additional costs. It's more about we're already incurring this cost. for licensing fees, maintenance fees, what have you, for these assets. How do we get more out of it?
Yeah, I wanted to mention on the continuous improvement, I have a Six Sigma black belt specifically for business process on the IT side is what I was focused on. So I fully agree with what you're saying. Usually the business cases are developed years before, and without that continuous improvement, the value degrades as you add more. So I love that area that you're focusing on because it's one area that I do see quite a bit as I've been in various companies that IT organizations are not continually looking at. They're adding, but not really identifying the value and doing a reset to say, what am I getting out of it? And let's look at the business case again and how can we improve? So that's fantastic that you're working on that. What is the next topic that your company works with?
So the other two types of investments that there are that we help organizations look into are projects or initiatives that organizations are plan or that are already running. So Project Rescue is a part of what we do. I think we've done 3 or 4 this year, and a lot of helping run projects, help set up business cases, help with RFPs and things of that nature, just so that the outcomes from projects actually meet or exceed our organization's expectations. That's more traditional, more typical type of an engagement. As you probably know, there are so many project managers out there, and only a fraction of them are unfortunately effective. So introducing an effective project management practice is critical in today's marketplace.
Yes.
And the third investment that we focus on are the actual IT services, the services whose costs are peanut buttered across, all of the organization's business units. Those include things like help desk, quality assurance group, or PMO, these general costs that IT has for its services to the business, whereas a controller for a given business unit looks at their budgets and says, I have this allocation for IT QA. What is that? What is this exactly? What am I getting for my money? What does this do for me? So this is where the approach, of course, is tied into SLAs, right? Into figuring out what the expectations are, educating the business in a lot of cases as to what this means and how to get more out of it. That's the third type of an investment, that IT investment that we look into. So the three are assets, projects, and services.
I love it. The IT outcomes that you are working toward for these clients, from a success standpoint, can you describe just one of your successes? Because I can just see so many. This is not an area in IT that, especially if you're coming through the ranks from an IT organization, you haven't gone through an MBA or Six Sigma or something else, it's not something you focus on. You focus on technology strategy, but this is core business philosophy applied to IT organizations. So it's just amazing the work that you're doing.
I'll do one that is rather typical, and I'll do one that is rather entertaining, I guess. Both demonstrate the point, which is important. So looking at a particular client that we had in New York City, and they implemented an ERP system and started regretting the fact that they implemented such a complex and difficult ERP system that it made them do more work than they needed to do when they started, when they were in QuickBooks. And so we came in, we said, this is a sophisticated system you guys bought. It shouldn't be that complicated. It should have the flexibility to match the simplicity of your business. We looked, and apparently the implementation partner of theirs was basically configured the procurement process based on the procurement manual as opposed to the actual procurement process. So the procurement manual had 14 steps of the procurement process, and all 14 steps were configured and working. When we interviewed the business and we asked what the business process actually is, it included 3 steps. So then, it really is a matter of just figuring out how to cut out the waste and to cut the procurement process from hours or sometimes multi-days to so many clicks. That's a rather typical example. I think that a better example, and hopefully the audience can connect with this one, is this other client we had in Western Massachusetts that had a particular, the most expensive business application was being complained about nonstop. The data's no good, it's not reliable, we can't analyze it, it's this or that. What happened was that we started analyzing all of these complaints. Indeed, we recorded them, we documented them all. And then we asked a big question. The question was, who owns this application? Who's the business owner of this application? And there was no one. So the first thing we did was we introduced an owner. We introduced a governance model that would be the owner for the application. The minute we introduced an owner to the application, about a third of the complaints stopped. And people that we went back after to say, okay, well, you complained about this, give us more details, we'll do something about it. And they would say, oh, actually, it's not happening anymore. Or, come to think of it, it only happens, once a year. Once you establish ownership or governance and you start asking more questions, you actually find that a quarter or sometimes a third of the complaints are literally excuses people make for not doing their job, which is an excellent outcome.
Yeah. I've seen situations where without having that owner, people just want to have a voice and want to know that they're expressing that voice to somebody in particular, and it's not going into a black hole, and they get it off their chest. Probably some of those were those items, was just knowing who to go to. Well, those sound like just excellent success stories. Sounds like your company is doing some wonderful work. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you and find out more if they want to?
Well, this is where I end up being more of a traditionalist. So email and telephone are the best ways. So it's Papovsky, M stands for Mikhail, and Papovsky is my last name, at Abraic.com. Should I spell it?
I can put it in the show notes. Somebody can just click on it in their podcast app and they'll be able to see the information.
Sounds great.
Mikhail, thank you so much for being with me today. This was fantastic, and I love the stories that you were able to provide on the IT outcomes, and I know this will be beneficial for other people to consider in their technology organization. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you so much for listening today. If you love this podcast, please do share it with your friends and colleagues. And please leave a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, because it makes a difference for circulation. For the show notes and other great info, enter your email into the mailing list at techleaderstoday.com. Thank you.